Hello YouTube, Luigi here. As usual, we started out with a loom shot because I still don't know how to roll them in later. But you can see diver type indices, meaning triangles, big arrow hands, even on the second hand, and what you can't see is the tiniest little bit of red tip on that second hand. It's a nice touch. Okay, what do we have here? Well, this is the NORSK London. And those of you who are pretty sharp will notice immediately that this looks like an homage to the Seiko Sea Monster. And indeed it is, by the manufacturer's own admission. Actually, not the manufacturer. There's a gentleman, actually lives near me in Scarborough, Maine. His name is Brian Undland. And he had these made. There's a story here. You can watch his video. He can tell it better than I. But basically, he's an American, but his heritage, his ancestors are Norwegian, and he's very proud of that. And he wanted to give to the Norwegian Olympic team, medal winners, a commemorative gift. And that's why this says NORSK London, because it's about the 2012 Olympics in London, not to be confused with the NORSK Rio 2016. Now, you can hear his story, and basically a guy didn't know anything about how to get a production run on a watch, and the lessons he has learned, and it's a very interesting story. Other than Mr. Undland, there are only two other YouTube videos about this. One is about by Random Rob, and Random Rob is a famous collector of sea monsters. He's got tons of them. And he bought one of these from the first production run. And Mr. Undland will tell you they had problems. And they went to another manufacturer and they seem to have cleared all those up. I got a good one. But Random Rob got a sloppy one. Sloppy bezel, tinny bezel, a lot of bounce back in the bezel. And when you went to set the hour and minute hand, even though it was hacked, the second hand was bouncing back and forth, oscillating. It had a lot of problems. And he admits that, because he admits he didn't know what he was doing at first. But I've got one of the later production runs and from a different manufacturer, and I'm quite happy with it. Okay, so let's get into some of the specs here. This is a 42.5 millimeter case diameter. It is 12.4 millimeters thick, and it has a 47 millimeter lug to lug. But you notice the lugs, they kind of turn down. That's good for fit and comfort. It's not cantilevering off your wrist, but it's not that huge anyway. You will see an unsigned crown at the 4 o'clock position. Now, I know a lot of people really look for signatures on the crown, and that's great. I'm not trying to knock you off your high standards, but to me, the area of the end of the crown is so small, it doesn't make a bit of difference to me whether it's signed or unsigned. That's really something I can let go. And I try to avoid, well, for the price, I paid around $50 for this. Mr. Undland himself is selling them on eBay. Actually, he's a neighbor of mine. He lives in Scarborough, Maine, and I'm in Conway, New Hampshire. We're practically neighbors. Okay, we have a 60-click unidirectional bezel with the slightest amount of back bounce. I would say a minimum, what I would call minimally acceptable. Doesn't lock in really hard. You will notice something I like about this bezel. It is, what do I want to say? Routed out and painted, filled with black to give you the numbers. It doesn't have, it does. It's got tighter graduations between the 12 and the 15, as a lot of diving bezels do. But it does have minute hash marks in between the 5s, the 5-minute hash marks. It's a bezel that stands proud of a flat mineral crystal, giving it some protection. So even though it's mineral, you would have to really get in there with something that's between the bezel perimeter to scuff it up. Now, I'm pretty sure these are painted on indices. They are not, they don't look to me like they are applied. They don't have that level of dimensionality nor depth. Maybe you can see the red tip on that second hand, which is kind of nice. Now, does the second hand hit all the 1 second hash marks precisely? Sometimes. Then it creeps off of that, and then it goes back to it. That's something I really like. It doesn't appear to happen here. See, it's a little behind, little behind, little behind. But that, again, that's the nature of the beast. It is running a Miyota movement. It's a quartz watch. And it has a leather strap, which even the people in the first crummy production run said the strap was the best part of the watch. So I guess that's praising by faint, what's it called? Praising by a faint compliment or something like that. I like this watch. You know, I've always had my eye on the Seiko Seamaster, and it was just beyond me. Price-wise, I bought this for around $50, and yes, it's a homage, because it's an unaspirated H, and I bought it. And it's not, I want to make the distinction between an homage, because we all know the watch industry is full of them, and a counterfeit fake. If this were a counterfeit fake, it would say Seiko Sea Monster. It wouldn't say NORSK London. So it draws its inspiration from the Sea Monster, of course. There's no denying that. It looks very much like it. But, you know, I have another homage. I have a $52 homage to an $8,000, Rolex. And if you want to get up on your high horse about homages, that's fine. I say buy what you like, buy what gives you pleasure, and buy what you can responsibly afford. Number one, we all know about collecting addictions, and if you're not careful, it'll drive you into the poorhouse. So the crown is a pull-out 2-position crown with the usual quick date settings. I have no issues with it. The back is a screw-down stainless steel case, and I'm going to translate this for you. It says Norwegian London Medal Winners. And he did indeed. He got permission from the Norwegian commissioner of the Olympic team to give these. Oh boy, I just wiped this down. To give these to the medal winners, and they granted him permission. And this is like his home team. He's very proud of his family's heritage, and good for him. Good for him. Rubber strap. And even though it has a screw-down crown, I cannot find, even in the literature that came with it, I cannot find a water-resistant rating on this. So a bare bones rating would be 50. Is it 100? Maybe. With the screw-down crown, is it 200? Maybe. I can really make no claims here. But I like the dial. I like the look. I've always liked the Seiko Monster. The scallops here, depending on how precisely you fit that floating bezel, the scallops here line up, or you can get them to line up perfectly with the scallops in the case. The bezel has a circular brushing on the top. The case has a circular brushing on its top, but the bezel has a polished side to it. Let me see my notes. I think I've got covered just about everything I needed to say. Okay, so we're looking at an homage and to the Seiko Sea Monster. I like the look. I also like the Seiko bottle cap, and it feels really good on my wrist. Oh, wrist check. Did I show you this? The Rado Silver Horse Automatic. Now this, when I got it, it was a gift. It was in pretty bad shape, but I had it restored, and I'm so glad I did. But this is today's watch. I suppose I should also do a pocket check, but today's knife is the Boker Subcom Titan, and I thought I had it with me, so I can't show you that. All right, everybody, that's it. The NORSK London commemorative watch given to the Norwegian team medal winners at the London Olympics in 2012. Don't confuse it with the NORSK Rio, which was in 2016. And you won't confuse it. It's a totally different look. He got away from the sea monster look. And it's a pretty prosaic, normal, coin-edge bevel type diver. Okay? And that is what that is. And I don't have one, and you can look him up for yourself. He sells them on eBay. Okay? Right out of Scarborough, Maine. All right. God bless you. I love you all. Take good care. Bye-bye.